So basically I get, sent a treatment. At this point, rates haven't been discussed. Budget really hasn't been discussed. I take a look at the creative and I kind of discuss with the director and the producer, okay, what are you thinking for money? What are you thinking for creative? What sets are we gonna need to build? What sets are gonna be on location that already exists? What are you gonna need from me exactly? And then once we cover all that, I was telling you guys earlier, the cursed all-in budget, which I used to start out by budgeting out creative and then seeing what was left for crew. And I would screw myself and I would screw my crew because I wouldn't have enough people or they wouldn't be paid for enough days or we wouldn't have enough money. So now what I do is I say, okay, you've given me an all-in budget for 10 grand. Okay, 7 of that has to go to me and my team. You have 3 grand left for your music video. What do you want me to do with that? So it's really important to kind of have those conversations in the beginning. When it comes to me as a production designer, my sketches, yes, are included. If I have to outsource a render for a client, which I rarely do, to be honest, I've probably had to do it 6 times in my entire career. Outsource a render, because a lot of times, whether it's for lighting or whether it's for a more commercial-based client, they want to see it, digitized. That is basically what, I will outsource that to someone and then I will put that in my budget as a line item. Like renders cost this. My sketches don't cost anything because that's part of my job. The part of my job is to design it and then send it out. So then from there, I get on with my art director or my prop master and my art coordinator. And that's kind of who I start with. And we discuss, okay, this is what these are the props that I'm gonna need. This is the vibe I'm going for and whether I have stuff already in mind or I'm like, ladies or men, most of the time ladies, send me options. Like this is the vibe I want. This is the, what I'm looking for. And then, they jump into action and I'm getting reference pictures immediately. I have 28,000 photos on my phone and I'd say a good 19,000 of those are props. So it's just sending, taking as many pictures for whether you're the production designer or you're the art director, art coordinator, prop master, you take as many pictures as possible for your PD. Take as many pictures as possible for your director so that way you can send all that out and get approvals on everything. Because how do you know that this director maybe has like a personal vendetta against the color orange and you fall in love with an orange chair and you don't get approval on it and then you show up on set with it and he wants to smack you. You want to make sure that you're being as transparent as possible. So then we start with the props. And while they are handling the props, once I've expressed what I need from them, that's when I get kind of down to design. And depending on the director, depending on the DP, that level of communication varies. I love it when I'm able to just call them up and be like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. I'm working through this sketch now. Can I FaceTime you and show you kind of where I'm at? For the sketch you're looking at now, I think there's another, again, this is a brand new pad, so you're gonna have to excuse how empty it is, but there's a sketch before it of a little set that's clearly not measured out. Clearly there's no rulers. And I did that on FaceTime with the director. Oh, what if we do this? What if we do that? So having that open line of communication with your creative team is really, really helps in pre-production. You want to make sure that you're having, you're able to kind of express all your ideas and then incorporate their ideas into your design. So that way you're not having to draw sets out 15 different times. So from there, once I get all the sketches approved by all the levels of clients and all the levels of people that it needs to go through, then I make the super fun call to my builders. So I hire a bunch of different build teams in Atlanta. We have a couple favorites, but a lot of times there's a lot of work here. Stuff gets booked really fast. And luckily I have a lot of flats that, Mad owns. So we can kind of start out, we can rent those instead of having those custom built, which, can get really expensive and time consuming. But I reach out to this is Shaq. This is for later. But, that gets really time consuming. So you talk to your build team and then you get a quote on lumber. You say, hey, this is the lumber and the stuff that I already have. This is the design. How much is it going to cost? How many guys do you need to do it and how much time? And then I go back to the producers and the directors that have already approved the sketch and I'll be like, okay, this is what it's going to cost. This is how much time it's going to take to do it. This is how much time I need on site. This is how much time I need off site. And then sometimes from there, they'll be like, oh, that's too expensive. And then we'll have to backtrack and I have to go back to the drawing board and then I have to go back to the builders. And I've done that process on one shoot, sometimes 4 or 5 times. It just depends on what is available, in terms of the production budget. So from the build team at this point, the other girls, the other Mad girls that are on the project have most likely compiled a very large list of props that I have to go through. And then we sit down, we have a team meeting and we go through everything. And we're like, okay, this is gonna go there. This room is gonna be this color. This is the stuff I need here. And then luckily, you know, my girls and I, we move like such a well-oiled machine now. You know, I send out the bat signal and they know exactly what to do. They know exactly what I'm looking for and what order I'm looking for it. And, you know, it's really nice because I don't feel necessarily like, I used to feel like I had to do all of this on my own. And so it's really important to build up a team of people you trust and people that are good at what they do in order to get your stuff done. Because I have so many girls, now I don't have to be the one going to the prop houses and taking pictures of everything while also being on the phone with clients and owing sketches to client and owing sketches to builders and having to price it out. I have a team that can help me with that now. And now I can focus so much more on the actual design and the client relations and all that stuff, and everything else gets done because I have incredible people that work with me. But, you know, I'd say delegation at this point in the process is arguably your most important thing that you need to be able to do. I am a control freak and I like updates as much as possible, but there are times, you know, where we're on such a short time frame where I got to put my trust in the girls that work with me. And I just got to be like, look, this is what I need. Get some options. We'll figure it out on set. You know, so it's honing in on what you're good at and getting people to work with you that are, you know, good at the stuff that you maybe aren't or don't have time to do. From this point, we start our build time and our prop sourcing time. So the build team, I'm managing the build team as well as managing the prop sourcing and purchases. My art coordinator, her job is to find vendors, and her job is to make sure that everything gets to set when it's supposed to, and it gets to set safely. Ratchet straps, ladies and gentlemen, are important. Learn how to use them when you are picking up props and organizing them in your trucks. Tie everything down because things break and then you got to pay for it and it really sucks. So at this point, everyone has kind of got their jobs. Everyone is out doing their thing. I'm managing things from a client perspective. And there are times where we'll be like nearing the end of a production or, you know, pre-production process. And I get a call and it's like, the artist, I know you were doing a monochromatic purple room and you've painted all these walls purple and your floor is purple and all your props are purple and all your furniture is purple, but actually we want it green now. The amount of times that happens, and I just got to be like, I have my power cry for like 35 seconds in like the studio bathroom, and I come out and I'm like, okay, let's do it. You know, it's a lot about operating under pressure. It's a lot about, you know, being able to change, you know, at the last minute, and to be flexible without being a pushover. There are certain times where that happens, and I'm like, no. We shoot in 8 hours. I'm not rebuilding this entire set for you, because it's not just me that can't do it, but I'm not about to walk over to my team that's been doing this for 16 hours and say, hey, y'all got to do this all over, because there'd be mutiny. So, you know, it's important to recognize what you're able to do, what your team is able to do, and when you're asking too much of your team, and you have to be able to stand up to some of these clients. Be like, look, this isn't possible with your budget. This isn't possible with your time frame. We can't do these changes in this time frame because it's going to cost too much and it's going to piss everybody off. So that's like that kind of pivotal point in the shoot when things start getting done and people start actually seeing things in person and might want some changes. I'm not saying don't make any. I'm saying just, you know, be smart about the changes you allow them to make, and don't put yourself in a position where you're not able to provide, you know, what you're saying you're able to. And then, you know, we get to shoot day. And it is all on kind of back into like crazy mode. The builders are tearing down the sets. All the prop master's job is to make sure that all the props get back to their respective prop houses or to Amazon in, you know, one piece. And then our art coordinator is off doing a shoot wrap, which basically is an Excel spreadsheet that has every single purchase and rate and everything line itemed out with copies of receipts. That is arguably one of the most important things about this job and working with clients is keep your receipts. If you spend their money and they don't get to see where that money went, that money comes out of your pocket. Keep every single receipt when you're working for another client, and you make copies of them and you submit them at the end of the shoot, numbered, corresponding to an Excel spreadsheet with the same line items that you're gonna have it, you know, sectioned out as, you know, where you bought it, how much it cost, the purpose of it, and, you know, at the end there's the total, and then the clients can see exactly where their money went, because they go through that stuff with a fine-tooth comb, because taxes are no joke. You know, they want to make sure that their money went to the right places, because I have myself even been on shoots when I wasn't PDing, been on shoots with production designers and art directors that pocket money from shoots and that falsify receipts. And we have, like, you know, major art department, we've been on shoots where we've heard of producers doctoring catering receipts in order to make up for money that gets pocketed. I mean, like, I would be so scared I'd get caught. You know, I don't understand the audacity. Like I just, you know, it's just, they're so bold, but you know, it's being honest and just being organized. So I'm honest, but I am definitely not organized. So get someone with you that is. Savannah, who is my art coordinator on every single shoot that I do, knows how I run my stuff, knows how receipts need to be submitted, and knows how these client relations kind of run at the end of the shoot. And because they always come back to her like, where's this line item? And she gets to go back and highlight it. And she's like, right there. You know, so you just, as long as you're organized and you do your due diligence ahead of time, it makes that wrap thing so much easier. Because by the time we get to the wrap, Savannah's already gathered everyone's receipts in a folder and she's already started cataloging it out on an Excel spreadsheet. So it's really important to maintain a running budget as you're working. And then by the end, once we send that stuff in, we get an okay from the client and then we move on to the next project. You know, so it moves very quickly. Sometimes everything that I just told you happens within 72 hours. We've had it happen within 24 hours. And then sometimes you get really lucky and I got like 3 weeks to prep and it's like, oh my God, what is this, you know?